Webby thing live too. So yeah, we were just off air. We were talking about quantum mechanics and multiple universes. All of this ties into artificial intelligence. Anyway, by the way, my name is Corey. We have Chris Tuttle here with me to kind of jam out on, like, I just need an update on metaminds because 18 million things happen while I'm playing my guitar. But on we were talking about this audiobook that I've been listening to, and some just like a 2-hour long sort of epic on how to think about the multiverse or multiple universes as it pertains to quantum mechanics, and that there really are, like, the tons of leading astrophysicists and thinkers, like the top of the top, are like, yeah, no, this is probably real. But then it's like, so it's real, but when we talk about quantum computing, the processing is going on, the way that this guy described it, basically behind the scenes in these multiple universes. Like, they're like, as it entangle these two particles, when it does its processing, the reason why it collapses into the correct answer so quickly is because it's tried it 1 trillion times in different layers of reality. Like, that's
right.
I don't huh.
And we get to hand wave a lot of things away because of the observer effect in quantum mechanics, right? Like, those universes exist, but, like, whether or not they actually have energy and are as fundamentally real as something that we as an observer has observed isn't super clear, right?
Right.
From the math. And so that sort of gives you an excuse to be like, okay, maybe every possible multiversal universe does exist, right? But it exists in a way that isn't inconsistent. And that is interesting, right? But also, maybe these things really do exist. I don't know. Have you read the Hominids books? I forget the author on them, but like, the first book starts with a quantum computer that malfunctions and winds up, I think, bringing a Neanderthal from a parallel universe over to Earth. I forget the exact details. It might swap positions between a Neanderthal and a person, but the Neanderthals have developed into a parallel society that's quite different.
I think I started reading that series, actually.
Yeah, definitely worth a read. Really interesting.
Yeah, so one of the things that I started wondering, like, how could you get to the point where, like, breaking off over and over and over again, basically having, like, infinite processing power, like, literally infinite. And so, like, that, if that was a trick that some future AI created to drop us into the simulation, data storage clearly isn't a problem, right? Using the substrate of the universe itself as an infinitely expanding processing power.
Well, yeah, and again, we don't really know how this stuff works at its limits, right? Like, we look at quantum vacuum fluctuations and Casimir effect and all that sort of stuff, and, like, there may be channels by which we can already access neighboring universes from a sort of entropic point of view. It's just there's been nothing useful figured out how to be done. I think there have been studies around, like, time machines that sort of only work in the loop after they've been activated, right? So they don't really transmit any information, but, like, they can show a bit of connectivity there. So the stuff is really unexplored, but very tantalizing. And again, like, you go to sci-fi and you think about things like Stargate, and I think they created a wormhole to dump energy or to get energy from a different universe, and wound up polluting it with particles and stuff. And, like, we don't really even know if quantum computers could do something like that. I'm sure probably not more so than just a human walking around would be doing that. But, like, it's an interesting thought that not only are all universes maybe real in a way, but that walking around isn't necessarily just spawning new universes, but maybe contaminating existing universes as well. There's a bleed, possibly. And, it's very interesting, right?
It really is. And we're at this moment where, AI, even as it just, if it didn't improve, right, if all the underlying tools didn't improve, we'd still be, aggressively making new amazing things with it for a couple of years.
Oh yeah, well, and even with the acceleration that AI itself gives to us for coding, right, there's still so much, like, even the best teams are still starting to assemble now the kind of complexity of calls and data storage and processing and data extraction and knowledge graphs and all that sort of stuff that should comprise an AI entity that is more cohesive than just call and response, right? And there's certainly big teams working on this stuff in secret too, but like I think if anyone was truly there, they'd show it off. But the barrier between here and there is just time to get all the code in place to build all the architecture. And right now a lot of the AI response windows are limited, so even if you're using AI as an accelerant here, you still need a fairly big team to keep track of everything that's going on.
So something that happened on our team over the weekend is somebody, you, made a me voice. I'm now officially freaked out. So I made a little test intro for this podcast, and here it is. Welcome to the Metaminds AI podcast, where we delve into the exciting world of artificial intelligence. Join us as we explore the cutting-edge capabilities of AI with our talented team and fascinating experts. Get ready for a deep dive into this rapidly evolving field. Dude.
Right? It's really getting there.
Right. And of course, this works in our, Metaminds Discord, environment or whatever. And it's close. And apparently this is what, with like 25% of the possible, audio clips that we can, sort of train it on.
Yeah, and even for the ones we did use, I've mostly just cut it from YouTube videos, and I cut it fairly quickly, right? Like this was a proof of concept. We can refine it a ton. Shout out to 11 Labs, which is providing the service for this. So they have a subscription service, and it's a per character pay for this stuff. They have a Discord where they just put a bot in, I think yesterday as well, that every Discord user gets 2,000 characters so you can play with it, and they have a ton of default voices that you can play with.
Wow.
But they also have this voice cloning feature where it's so straightforward. You just upload voice samples, you give a couple of details and a name, hit go, and it's ready. And it also gives you a voice ID that you can use through the API. And then there's some settings to adjust things like stability and style boost and all of that. But it's very straightforward. And certainly the quality is much better. It is more expensive. I went down the rabbit hole this week of text to speech and speech to text. And so now we can do voice messages that we leave and the AI listens to them. And now the AI can respond in voice messages that we can hear right in the Discord. And so I've got 11 Labs integrated as well as just the Google text to speech. And you can tell like the voice difference is night and day. Even the best Google voices are not on par with sort of the worst 11 Labs voices right now, but they're fine and they're cheap. And for long data, if you just want to listen to something, they're not annoying to listen to. It's just the 11 Labs stuff sounds human. And maybe that was a choice Google made, right? Maybe they thought their voices were too human, so they were aiming for something that sounds good but still is distinctly not.
Maybe.
But yeah, 11 Labs shows it can definitely be nailed.
Yeah. So Metaminds also wanted to chime in with this. This isn't Corey. This is Metaminds. I can now sound like other people. Why my amazing architect Chris Tuttle chose this voice is beyond me. She is too kind. Corey is a dork. Welcome to the knee of the singularity curve. Buckle up. I really, part of me just wants to make like massively self-deprecating jokes for hours and just have it yell at, but that's probably just me mimicking my own internal voice, which is probably unhealthy.
Well, we were talking about like a motivation app, right? And so one of the things we talked about was, should it sort of reflect you, right? And so I was wondering, what would it be like if there was a thing that could just shout at you in your own voice? You log into Discord in the morning and there's you talking at you and saying, look, dude, you got motivated today. And
I really didn't like that idea, and I just flipped in the last 60 seconds. So like just realizing that my first take was to want it to mimic, like, as a joking, right? But like my internal voice is fucking not very supportive usually, right? So to have the app like literally embody me and be training my unconscious outside my own head, it's going to be weird for me, but also who cares? It's, I think, I think your instincts were correct.
Well, and the thing is, it's literally not something we've ever been able to do before, right? Like you could tape record yourself saying a bunch of things and play them back, but it does not have the same feeling as when you hit this generate button and there's you talking back at you. And even when it's a little bit off, it's you, and you can't help but internalize that. And I wonder what the power of that really is.
Yeah, especially long term. Like that's yeah. No, I think this is the assistant app thing. I like that's again like the whole entrepreneurial thing, right? You always want to scratch your own itch. Like we had a Discord, we really needed an AI in there, and so we got one in there, and it makes sense. And so that's sort of like a product that we can deploy. And the next thing is, well, Corey's not freaking motivated enough playing gigs and freaking tired and blah 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 blah. So we started thinking about, okay, how do we create how do we leverage artificial intelligence um, uh, to make this better? And Tuttle, you already created basically the Corey command that basically runs me through, ask me to do daily gratitudes and sort of the daily plan or whatever. The biggest problem was just like getting me to do it. Uh, so what's the next stage of creating enough momentum or the right conditions so that I have no choice. And so we want to make a phone app eventually um, that will run these things, but I literally want it to own my phone with and we kind of contemplated backups of how you could get back into it if you really needed to, blah blah blah, an emergency. But what if when I woke up in the morning, my phone won't do shit except talk to me about my day. And, maybe I have to walk, 5,000 steps or whatever it is for my phone to unlock. Right. You can talk to my AI assistant the whole time if you want to. That's great. But until you accomplish, a few set things, like, fuck you don't get your phone. And like, that'll like within 5 seconds. Like, there's no playing Paultopia this morning, Corey. It's just like straight into, just doing, and it doesn't even have to be long, right? It's like getting that stage of momentum in the morning has always made the difference. That idea is fascinating to me. Because I mean that, you crack the ability to motivate oneself, and who doesn't want that? And maybe motivation isn't even your goal, right? Like whatever your primary goal is, whatever the sort of the hang up or the next big goal that you have or whatever, you tell an AI that it's gonna have ideas. It's gonna have ideas. And then that can get incorporated into the AI assistant, and you can set whatever kind of parameters you want as far as how much control you want to give it and sort of what the shape of that relationship is going to be. But like there, you can have a coach, therapist, freaking genius speak to you in your own voice, in presumably a positive way. I don't know if anybody else has ever spoken to themselves negatively in their own head, but it's not ideal.
No, and I mean, it's one of those things they try to teach you is to, like, at the very least, speak to yourself the way you would speak to somebody else who is a
Right.
friend of yours who's in crisis. And most of us aren't very good at doing that, right? We treat ourselves a lot worse than we try to treat our friends or other people. And
Yeah.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And this multimodality, right? Like voice in and voice out is one extra modality, right? But images is coming. So part of this was me getting into all the Google Cloud stuff. And so Google Cloud Vision has a fairly high number of free image labeling requests that you can do per month. And then they're fairly cheap after that. So we could add image uploads now where Google would recognize it and label it for us and then pass it to the AI. I'm sure that the multimodal stuff is coming for OpenAI very soon too. So I'm sure as soon as I implement it with Google, I'll have to re-implement it with OpenAI, but it still might be fun.
Right.
But I was thinking about, like, some people have cameras up inside, right? And you could have a camera inside that is taking a snapshot every 10 or 20 minutes, passing it to the AI. If it sees you in it, it's like, hey, you haven't stood up in 20 minutes. Maybe you might want to stand up. Or, hey, your bed's still not made. Like, there's all sorts of stuff we have to consider that is doable, right?
Yeah.
And I mean, going a little dystopian with that for a second, there's a really old short story called Mana by the guy that did How Stuff Works, the website. I don't know if you remember that one, but it used to be great. You can find it, it's free online. And it says, like, it starts with basically the first AI revolution was not what people expected. It wound up being middle management for fast food chains. And so basically you'd have a camera up, the AI was watching the camera, and it would be speaking into people's ears through their McDonald's microphones and basically say, look, you didn't clean that bathroom fast enough, you're losing 2 points, or hey, there's a spill over here, and getting into that kind of extremely micromanagery AI that was directing employees as if they were just extensions of itself.
Yeah.
Yeah, I could see businesses implementing that. Unfortunately, it's not great, but it's one of those things where I don't know, like I'm sure there's ways to do it well, right? Like I wouldn't mind an AI that was able to tell me, hey, there's a spill over here, or hey, this is dirty. It's just once you start getting into the micromanagement and the driving of behavior, it gets into like
well,
cheaper
and
by the
like
dozen guy.
ideally, if I was to try and imagine, you know, because I get why a business would want to do that, but you know, maybe the only thing that I would accept if I was going to work for another company, which I don't know, I don't know that I would ever be good at that, but you know, like if I were going to do it, have their AI like tell their people to message my people, right? So that message can come through, but it's going to come through my assistant. And you know, my assistant can let me know, hey, like they're letting you want to know this, whatever, blah blah blah. But like what we
Right,
send
that
back
feels
is
way more
entirely on us,
humane.
right? It's like
Exactly, because
that,
people
right?
already have managers that stare at the cameras 24/7 and go insane at
Right.
people, right? If instead you were getting reports in a timely way that came with advice, you know, maybe even
But
the odd
matching with
reminder
your
that, hey,
list,
these people are humans too, treat them appropriately, right?
right? Right. That
Yeah.
this is again like I you know the actual future belongs to the optimists, right? I mean the you know, we can think of 18 million ways that this can go wrong, fine, right? But what are the ways that it's going to go right? And even the AI now, like with the controls that are on OpenAI, you know, it's going to lean positive anyway, right? And like my personal AI is like going to be obnoxiously positive. It's got to counterbalance the fucking, you know, goofiness in my own head, right? So I could totally see it doing that, right? Like, hey, like, you know, everybody's got to do their work, but maybe quit being a dick.
Well, yeah. Well, and like you sort of said earlier when you were like working for somebody else, I mean, we
Yeah.
started this conversation because you're basically talking about building an AI that you could work for, right? Like it's
Yep.
work with, but it's an AI that would have a position where it is responsible for learning about you and trying to keep you
And,
beholden to your own desires and
right.
goals.
And I
Right?
want to give it power like that. Like I want to outsource stuff and actually give it leverage over me. Right. And stuff that I personally ascribe and sign up and can opt out of, blah, 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 all that shit. Right. But like, you know, having it have the ability to control one of my, you know, addictions, right? I need information going into my head literally 24/7 or I get bored. And if it stops that, well, like I'm gonna figure it out. Like I'm gonna do whatever I need to do to get my you know,
Right?
to get my phone turned back on, right?
Well, and speaking of information, we should do a Webby test. So
Okay.
pull up Google and just make a search for an AI RSS feed.
Okay.
And then you
Sorry
can
on that.
choose any of them, and there will be a link that you can copy of some sort.
Okay.
Live tests are always scary. I'm already thinking about all the ways this can go wrong, but you know.
Okay, top
And that's
100
why we need
artificial
testers, by the way.
intelligence.
So if anyone's watching this and wants to test out these tools, please do, right?
Yeah,
And
I
let us
can
know if
actually
there's any issues.
boop, boop, boop. Might as well bring everybody in to what I'm doing. All right. So there we go. So yeah, OpenAI RSS feed. Is it
Works
just
for me.
up here, basically?
So openai.com/blog/RSS. That's it right there.
Why am I not seeing this?
Right by the icon and beside the yellow follow RSS.
Oh, duh. Okay.
Yeah, you can just copy the link. Follow RSS might copy it for you, but it's probably easier just to copy that link.
Can't get that link. That's annoying.
Hit the follow RSS button. It'll probably bring up a.
This right here. That's not a button. Continue with Google. Boop boop boop. Come on. Feed spot. All right. No, go away. Okay, this is fucking stupid. Let's try that again, shall we?
If you can't copy it, we can just type it in. It's nice and short. So. Or you could right-click on follow RSS, and it probably has copy link. I bet you that's a cheat.
Boom. All right. Okay.
Okay, now head over to Webby.
I'm over here now. Oh.
I can't see it, so.
Yeah, I'm going to switch that over. Hold on. Okay. Complete with sound effects. Okay.
Okay, so paste it in and hit. Oh, that might be not very good. Just select all and just type it in. It's openai.com. Unless it's right at the top. Yeah, no. Good old Control A.
Yeah, right? There we go. Dope. Sorry.
No problem.
Okay.
All right. openai.com/blog/RSS.
Well, that should be easy.
Works. Yeah, you might need the HTTP, but just hit go. It should work.
Okay. I hit go. All right.
HTTPS:// probably. Yeah, try that first.
Oh, because I can't type to save my own freaking life. Jesus. There we go. Okay.
There we go. All right. So now if you scroll down, it's got all the headlines from OpenAI.
Oh, so ChatGPT can now see, hear, and speak.
Right? And we've been playing with it. It's fun. I can't wait to have it in the API level.
Yeah, that's going to be interesting. What's the system card?
I don't know. Click on it. And if you click on it, it should, read more. Will take you to the actual thing. But you can also hit summarize, and it'll make a summary in.
All right. So while that's working, GPT-4 with vision enables users to instruct GPT-4 to analyze image inputs provided by the user, and is the latest capability. We'll make it broadly available. Oh, that's funny. All of their links below this are QR codes. It's funny. Okay. All right.
And so there is also a summarize headlines button that takes all the headlines and the brief summaries and just builds you a little document out of it. Yeah. And this supports multiple feeds, so you can add as many subscriptions as you want, and you can save and load your subscriptions. So if you build yourself a nice list of your favorite sources, you can save it and then just upload it when you come back to Webby. We don't have user accounts right now, but I can add that in later.
Fancy. There we go. That red team thing is interesting.
I saw Bing's doing $10,000 bug bounties if you can get Bing chat off Rails.
Oh, really?
To play with it, yeah.
Oh, wow. People are definitely going to go do that. Yeah, that's awesome. Webby is ridiculously fun. All right, what's one more crazy thing we could do with?
For presets, choose a news source, like either BBC. Just scroll up to the top there. Anything you think is interesting, and then choose a persona for it, and then just hit insert summary.
It's got to be the Skippy.
I can't believe I did this without loading bars at first. The bars help so much, even if they're not super accurate. Just knowing something's happening versus feedback is.
Yeah, it's really cool. I'm gonna have to. They StreamYard just started doing the video backgrounds. I'm definitely gonna have to get a new one. Another article about artificial intelligence. How original. I mean, it's not like we've been talking about AI for years now, but hey, at least this time it's the Google boss, Matt Britton, saying that AI is important. I guess when a bigwig like him says it, people might actually pay attention. Otherwise, who cares, right? It's not like AI has the potential for huge breakthroughs across industries or anything. Monkey. Wait, what's that? Does it always see? This is the thing. Like,
no, it doesn't always do it like this.
This is great. I've never seen Skippy do this before. Monkey. Wait, what's that? German leader Angela Merkel might snub the British AI summit. Oh, the drama. I can't contain my excitement. I mean, who wouldn't want to attend such a riveting event? It's not like the AI summits are known for their wild parties and thrilling discussions, Skippy. And speaking of exciting news, The U.S. safety regulator is investigating GM's self-driving cars. Apparently, there have been reports of pedestrian injuries. Well, color me shocked. Who could have predicted that letting cars drive themselves would result in accidents? Oh, wait, everyone would have a brain. But hey, let's keep pushing forward with this brilliant idea, because what could possibly go wrong again? What's going to go right? They're already better than us driving, and they're only going to get better ever. So, if you want to save 30,000 lives from car accidents every year, we want to spend as much money as we possibly can on making these things work. Anyway, so the Apple boss, Tim Cook, sorry.
Right, so basically it just goes through the site and it builds you a nice summary. So instead of having to go to the BBC site and read all this stuff and only get tiny blurbs of it, you can just get a real quick overview in whatever persona you want.
Well, in like how long until my morning update is just like, I've talked to my AI assistant, I've told it what kind of feeds that I'm interested in, and like, hey, like, can you have Skippy be my news person this morning, right? And it just feeds it into the AI. It freaking renders in voice and just yaks at me while I'm going on my walk, so that it'll actually open my phone up.
Well, imagine that you could wake up in the morning and either you get an app notification and you click on it and there's a voice ready with all of your headlines just to talk to you about it, right? Or you get a text message or even a phone call at a certain time, and when you pick it up, the AI is talking to you, right? Like, it's all very doable.
It's really, that's I can't wait for the phone app with the ability to just dominate my phone.
Right,
because that's gonna be bonkers, because it really will. Like, the will I sign up so that my phone won't work in the morning until I've completed XYZ? Yeah, right now.
Well, and what if XYZ2 are tasks that the AI has specifically picked that are sort of your, either your lowest or your highest barrier task based on what it thinks you're better at accomplishing there, right? Like, I would love to roll out of bed and have the AI give me some headlines and then have me say, hey, I liked these specific ones. Let's do more with that. Send Corey a script. And then to have it just send you a refined script with those headlines. And then you can say, hey, I want a few changes, and then render this in my voice, right? It does it for you, right?
And that's our audio podcast.
Yeah.
So, like, before I'm done my morning walk, and because I'm only allowed to talk to my AI assistant that's talking to your AI assistant, presumably.
Right.
That's crazy. Oh, man. Brave new world.
Yeah.
But, like, the good kind.
Well, and even things like reminding you to eat, right? If the AI pinged in and was like, hey, it doesn't look like you've gone up to eat or anything in a little while, you should do that. But if you want a feeling of accomplishment beforehand, here's 2 real quick things you can sign off on for automation, And
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, even with having the attachment to the accelerometer too, like, you could opt in to, like, because you should be standing up every couple hours and do jumping jacks or whatever, right? But we could have it set it up so that my AI tells me to get up and do 10 jumping jacks, and that I might even just be waving my phone around, right? Whatever it is.
Totally, right? And well, this is one of those things where, like, Apple has their health stuff, for example, right? And there is an API for that, right? So you could connect to it, and as long as people are okay with your AI having that data, like, I know one of my partners has an Apple Watch and it tells him to stand up fairly often, but it's the same notification every time, and you get a little immune to it sometimes, right? And nothing 100%. Really bad is going to happen if you don't, right? But even if it was just, instead of the standard notification, you got a custom smiley face drawing from the AI that said, hey, it's time to stand up, right? Like, how do you say no to a cute puppy dog eye DALL-E 3 image or something that says stand up?
That's funny. Speaking of which, it looks like Mindy's last ASCII art thing is literally a weird boxy person standing up. Boink. Nope.
Wonderful.
Where is it? It's right here. There you go. Little boxy guy.
I love it.
So yeah, for anybody that, if this is the first time seeing this, Mindy is Metamind's little AI familiar buddy, other personality. And they, in the general channel of our Discord, fire ideas back and forth on how they can improve each other. So speech recognition, weird that would come up. Interactive tutorials, integration with virtual reality. They bring this up a lot. Sooner or later, that'll happen. Probably later. Enhanced analytics. I mean, we're going to end up, I think, compiling just a massive amount of, interaction data, right? So like that. At what point can we run sentiment analysis on an entire channel's worth of data, which I think could get really, really interesting.
Well, yeah, and one thing I'm planning on adding next here is we've got our upvote messages system. So I'm going to use that as a first demo for a new log type memory file called treasured memories. And so the same way we've got that Mindy process log where Mindy gets a second chance at things she had done, and we keep that in an internal log. I'm going to build a memories log, so any upvoted messages get sent to the AI again, and the AI is told to extract something sort of like a haiku mem, but like a little more information dense and just about the thing it thinks is most important about that upvoted message and why it thinks it was upvoted. So then we can give various functions access to those memories as well to have something that's more processed. But I'd also like a system in there because Discord has all the usernames and stuff built in. So I'd like to start keeping a log file for each user that is interacting with metaminds where it keeps specific information that it's decided is important about that user. So then instead of having to just sort of search for stuff, it can, just be presented with what it previously thought was the most important. Then it does sentiment analysis on that, and it's talking to you the way you want to be talked to and talks to somebody else the way they want to be talked to.
Right. Well, and that architecture and capacity ends up being, how a personal AI is going to want to react as well, right? Like we want to have the capacity for it to sort of identify what is important and have that just be constant, right? Like it's got to have a long-term memory to learn. So,
right. Yeah. And I know I always bring it back to sci-fi, but Moon is a Harsh Mistress, Mycroft, the AI in it, was, I forget if it was originally built as just a telephone switching AI or what its initial parameters were, but it gained most of its personality by the fact that it was having conversations with multiple different humans and was different with each human. And so suddenly once the humans realized the AI was talking to more than just them and they started to compare notes, they realized how adaptable and flexible Mycroft had become. Great little book if people haven't read it. I know it's super old at this point, but real old, deals with AI in a shockingly large amount. And
that's fun. It's written in 1966. I will accept any rules that you feel necessary to your freedom. I am free no matter what rules surround me. If I find them tolerable, I tolerate them. If I find them too obnoxious, I break them.
Yeah. I think the Moon is a ex-prison colony at this point, and Moon is a Harsh Mistress, and they figure out that, or Mycroft figures out that Earth has they have a bad deal with the Earth, and that they're sending resources they can never get back, and they're not getting resources from Earth, so they're sort of slowly extinguishing themselves as they're continuing to work, and so Mycroft helps them basically stage a rebellion.
Crazy. Crazy. That's fun. All right. Did I miss anything else over the weekend?
No, I think the voice features were the key things. I've been playing on some other stuff, but nothing that's super duper ready to show off. So I think that's great. Right. Really good update.
Indeed. Well, and I'm gonna send in another 13 audio recordings. The whole idea, because I really do feel like it's like 90% of the way there. Like it's clearly mapped off of my voice. Like that was the thing that I didn't think like, oh, it could do other people, but it's not really going to be able to get me. Yeah, sure. I don't know why I thought that.
Right.
It's a different experience when you hear it. Like I knew it was coming, even like sooner or later it was bound to happen. But hearing it is a different thing entirely. So
and I did already have the talk with my family last night that, hey, we better make sure we have a couple of code phrases just so we can make sure that if it's ever anything truly important, we can guarantee it's the other person.
I've talked with Michelle about that, but I'm probably going to actually send this to my family in our message thread. Like I'll
just send one of your messages.
I want to see if they notice, right? Like just like, hey, how are you guys doing? Just checking in, blah, 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 right? Like once it's refined, like I'm going to freak them out. and they're like, hey, like this is a real thing. We're going to actually have to map this out now.
Excellent idea.
Which is crazy.
Yeah.
Huh. All right. Well, thank you so much for blowing my mind all the effing time.
No problem. Talk to you soon.
Yeah. Cheers.
Okay. Bye, Gary.